in the moment, it just felt like, what? Like, is this fun for him? Is this like a test? This is the first time that I'm speaking about it. Something that I'll never forget.
Let's dive.
Oh my goodness. Can we talk about what's happening with Diddy right now? I'm literally shook. The Diddy drama has completely taken over, and these jaw-dropping allegations are just wild. From hip-hop icon and business genius to this, how the mighty have fallen. And here's the tea that has me absolutely gagging. What if the real reason he keeps getting denied bail isn't what they're telling us? What if it's not just about protecting witnesses, but because authorities uncovered a secret escape plan? Buckle up, because this story has more twists than my favorite reality show.
The flight was always going to be a tough argument for the government because obviously Combs voluntarily came to New York. He surrendered his passports through his lawyer. He could have fled after the March raids of his Miami and Los Angeles homes, but he didn't. He has access to 2 private jets. I think it was a tougher argument. I know the government made the argument, but clearly the best argument was the dangerousness and the witness tampering. They had much more.
The flight risk argument was always going to be tough for the prosecution. I mean, Diddy literally surrendered himself in New York and handed over his passports. If he wanted to run, he could have disappeared after they raided his Miami and LA mansions back in March. The man has 2 private jets at his disposal. But clearly, the government's strongest case wasn't about him fleeing. It was about how dangerous they think he is and the alleged witness tampering. They apparently have receipts, and lots of them.
Legitimate concern. No judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day. Oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes. And sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. Years ago, it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
Can we just process this? Sean Combs, the man who dazzled us on red carpets and hosted those legendary white parties, has been sitting in detention for months. And get this, he offered $50 million as bail. For someone like Diddy, that's basically screaming, "I'm not going anywhere." Yet the courts keep shutting him down every single time. There has to be more to this story.
With all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone. So,
according to my sources, there's way more happening behind closed doors. Diddy's legal team has proposed everything from house arrest in some fabulous Manhattan apartment to 24/7 private security, but the courts aren't having any of it. Officially, they're concerned about his alleged influence and witness tampering, but unofficially, the whispers would make your jaw drop. There's serious talk about a top-secret escape plan involving his inner circle and, wait for it, even his family members. I'm clutching my pearls just thinking about it.
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens.
After his arrest, Diddy's behavior behind bars set off all kinds of red flags. He was allegedly using other inmates' phone codes to make calls. The authorities claim these weren't innocent catch-up calls. They believe he was trying to reach witnesses and orchestrate something bigger. And then there's that "contact me ASAP" messaging service he supposedly kept using after promising the court he'd stop. These might seem small, but they paint a picture of someone who thinks rules don't apply to him. Was this just defiance or something more calculated? I'm dying to know.
Try everything. They're going to try to transfer him. They're going to try to get him out. In a normal case where it's a high-profile person or a well-funded person, the prosecution and the judge is a little bit more concerned about a wrongful prosecution because people that are mad that they're being arrested for a crime they didn't commit can turn around and file for malicious prosecution.
Now, this new judge has an even harder position because the previous judge already denied bail. If the new judge lets him out and something goes wrong, yikes. And honestly, we shouldn't be saying judges are worried about their own reputation if something bad happens, but let's be real, they totally are. Now here's where it gets juicy. Sources close to the investigation say the FBI intercepted communications suggesting Diddy's team, yes, including family and longtime associates, was working on a behind-the-scenes plan to spring bring him. The alleged scheme reportedly involved multiple locations, safe houses, and international connections. Let's not forget who we're talking about. This is Sean Combs. His contact list rivals some governments. If anyone could pull off an elaborate escape, it's someone with his resources and influence.
Every jail is bad, and some jails are worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail, is not your first argument. That's sort of
The judge is also concerned about wrongful prosecution claims. People who are falsely arrested can turn around and file for malicious prosecution. But how did authorities discover this alleged plot? Insiders claim it was surveillance, intercepted messages, and, you guessed it, a potential mole inside Diddy's inner circle. Can you imagine the drama? Someone close enough to know escape plan details spilling everything to the feds. If true, this explains why courts have been so firm against bail. If the FBI had even a hint these allegations were real, letting him out, regardless of the price tag, would be an enormous risk.
They can't move him to the general population. And would he be at risk? Sure, he'd be at risk. There's so many people that have nothing to lose, right? They're going to be in jail the rest of their life. They've got nothing to, they want their 15 minutes of fame. They were friends with Diddy, or they hurt Diddy, or they Diddy, or they did. I mean, there's so many, people in jail that this would be their moment. You can't put them there. Plus,
this alleged plan wasn't just about sneaking out of detention. This was reportedly a full-scale operation. Sources suggest it involved private jets, decoy vehicles, and an underground network designed to get him somewhere. Extradition would be nearly impossible. Some even say certain family members were allegedly coordinating logistics, while others were ready to provide financial support. Whether true or not, the sheer audacity of such a plan has left everyone speechless.
But no one wants to be in prison. And you can imagine what happens when you take sort of 40 people, all of whom have been at least charged with crimes, and lock them in a single room for years on end and throw out the key, which is the most trivial things become all that people have left to care about.
And the timing, so suspicious. Around when these rumors started circulating, Diddy's legal team was aggressively pushing for house arrest. Coincidence? I think not. Critics speculate the house arrest request might have been strategic, making an escape easier. Think about it. A luxurious Upper East Side apartment with security measures that Diddy himself arranged. The perfect launching pad for a getaway. This theory has everyone raising eyebrows.
What's Diddy like?
Obviously I've only seen one piece of him, which is, Diddy in prison. And, he's been kind to people in the unit. He's been kind to me. It's a position no one wants to be in. Obviously he doesn't, I don't, as you said, it's kind of a soul-crushing place for the world in general.
What's even more fascinating is the alleged role of Diddy's family in all this. Rumors suggest the FBI is closely examining several relatives, looking at their finances and communications. The idea that his loved ones could be implicated in such a high-stakes operation has sent shockwaves through both entertainment circles and the public. If these allegations have any truth, it's not just Diddy facing charges. His entire family could find themselves in legal trouble. Imagine the ripple effects. The very people who've stood by him through everything could now be drawn into this legal nightmare, their lives forever changed.
What we see are just the people that are around us on the inside, rather than who we are on the outside.
Let's not forget the FBI's role in this drama. If rumors about uncovering an escape plan are true, it's another high-profile win for the agency. And honey, they're not exactly known for keeping quiet about their victories. The mere suggestion they thwarted a celebrity's grand escape adds another layer of drama to an already explosive case. This is the kind of story that would dominate headlines for weeks.
Some of them are, I think, are thinking like, wow, this is sort of a big opportunity. To meet people they wouldn't otherwise get to meet, which is it shocked me the first time I heard that. Right? It makes sense from their perspective, but boy, is that not how I think about prison.
What's fascinating is how these rumors have shifted public perception. While some fans remain loyal to Diddy, insisting he's being unfairly targeted, others are questioning everything they thought they knew about him. After all, if even a fraction of these allegations is true, it shows a man willing to go to extraordinary lengths to avoid consequences. Whether you see him as a victim of a flawed system or a mastermind trying to outsmart the law, one thing's certain: the narrative around Sean Combs has changed forever. As this story unfolds, questions keep piling up. What exactly did the FBI uncover? How deep does this alleged conspiracy go? And how will Diddy's legal team respond? For now, all we can do is wait and speculate, but this case is far from over.
That's where Diddy has been for months now, but last week he was taken to the hospital. According to reports from the New York Post, Diddy was transported from MDC in the cover of darkness at about 10 p.m. on January 30th. He was taken to a Brooklyn hospital for an MRI after reporting issues with his knee.
And while all this drama unfolds, let's not forget where Diddy is spending his days: the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, which isn't exactly known for its hospitality. How is a man who lived in mansions adapting to what some call hell on earth? Could these grim conditions be part of a strategy to pressure him into cooperating? Picture this: Sean Diddy Combs, who once commanded yachts and VIP sections, now wakes up to fluorescent lights in an 8x10 cell. Jarring, right? This Brooklyn detention center is no five-star retreat, and the contrast couldn't be sharper. But what if these conditions aren't just about the flawed prison system? What if they're part of a calculated strategy to break him down until he strikes a deal? Whether intentional or not, Diddy's current reality is miles from his former life, and it's become a story itself.
So apparently Diddy's knee has been bothering him recently, so he reported it. At some point, it was decided that he needed medical care outside of the jail, so he was taken to a Brooklyn.
From the moment Diddy entered that detention center, everything changed. Imagine waking up on a steel bed with a mattress thinner than a magazine. No silk sheets, no designer robes, just harsh prison garb. His 8x10 cell offers zero comfort, cold white walls reflecting back a world of confinement. And get this, there's not even a pillow. Think about that. A man who could charter private islands now sleeps without the simplest comfort. It's a detail that just sticks with you, isn't it?
So again, after that initial review of his current medical situation during his physical, and then there's follow-up to that process if there's something found, immediately. But, you have to understand, daily there are medical staff walking through the units, doing what we call sit call and asking inmates, are they okay? And then you have folks that are walking around.
The Metropolitan Detention Center is infamous for more than just lacking luxuries. It's earned a reputation as one of the most chaotic and under-resourced facilities in the system. Critics describe it as overcrowded, violent, and lacking basic necessities. One former inmate famously called it hell on earth. And that's putting it lightly. For someone like Diddy, who has lived so publicly large, it must feel like being thrown into another dimension.
Well, inmates have procedures all the time. You have folks there with cancer, you have folks there with, serious other chronic diseases. And sometimes it does require individuals to have surgery even while they're on pretrial status. So
now here's the interesting part. Diddy isn't your average inmate. He's a cultural icon recognized globally. Yet that fame doesn't shield him from the facility's realities. It might make things harder. Reports suggest he's in a special unit designed to separate high-profile detainees from general population. Sounds safer, right? But the isolation brings its own challenges. Imagine being confined to an even more restricted space with minimal interaction and little respite from monotony. If regular prison is tough, this special housing unit is its own form of psychological warfare.
I've had a lot of time to reflect on how to communicate. And in retrospect, I think I was not effective at communicating, especially when the crisis first hit. And, in the months thereafter, I made a mistake I often make. I get swept up in details and forget to communicate the bigger picture.
And adding to the intrigue are Diddy's alleged interactions with other high-profile inmates, like Sam Bankman-Fried, the disgraced cryptocurrency mogul, also held there. In a surprisingly candid interview, Bankman-Fried described Diddy as kind and approachable, even within the grim facility. "He's always been kind to me," Bankman Fried shared, painting Diddy as someone still trying to maintain his old persona despite circumstances. But don't mistake kindness for contentment. Behind the scenes, Diddy is reportedly struggling with his new reality.
Understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on watch.
The mental toll of incarceration, especially in a place like this, is immense. Some speculate authorities might be counting on this psychological pressure. After all, a man like Diddy, used to controlling everything, might find the lack of autonomy particularly grueling. Could this be part of a larger strategy? Imagine the pressure mounting day after day in confinement. Authorities know time can be a powerful tool, and in cases like this, it's often wielded with precision.
Hinder him, and some are questioning whether that's the point.
Some people do think that Diddy can help him, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week.
Digging deeper into the conditions, this detention center has been criticized for years. Inmates report unsanitary living, frequent lockdowns keeping them confined to cells for extended periods, and food described as barely edible slop. Some even mention maggot-infested meals. Now imagine Diddy, accustomed to gourmet dishes, being served something he wouldn't have touched in his previous life. It underscores just how far he's fallen or been brought down. Violence also plagues the facility, reports of stabbings, brawls, and even deaths within prison walls. While Diddy is reportedly in a more secure section, the tension and fear are impossible to escape. Every day is a mental and emotional challenge, especially for someone whose identity was built on power and control. Perhaps most intriguing is Diddy's limited access to his legal team. Preparing for a trial this massive requires resources, strategy, and time. Yet restrictive conditions make it nearly impossible to work effectively with his lawyers. Though granted access to a laptop with case materials, the limitations on when and how he can use it are significant. Imagine mounting a defense this complex while confined to a small room with limited resources. It almost seems designed to hinder him, making some question if that's the point.
Hinder him, and some are questioning whether that's the point.
Some people do think that Diddy can help him, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week.
Authorities argue these restrictions are necessary to prevent witness tampering, but critics point out they also make it exceedingly difficult for Diddy to prepare his defense. It's a fine line between ensuring justice and tipping scales, and many wonder if the balance has been skewed. The broader question remains, what does this mean for Diddy's future? The trial is months away and the road ahead is uncertain. Will mounting pressure push him to strike a deal, or will he fight to clear his name regardless of cost? Either way, the stakes couldn't be higher, not just for him, but everyone involved in this unprecedented case.
It's a question of that, but when you read through the indictment, it's pretty clear who could be indicted as a co-conspirator. Right now, there are people in the indictment who would be considered unnamed co-conspirators, but clearly have played a role in this conspiracy. And I think prosecutors have some big leverage on them because they're hoping that they testify against Diddy as prosecution witnesses.
As days turn to weeks and weeks to months, one thing's certain: the world is watching. Whether you see Diddy as a victim or a man finally facing accountability, his story is far from over. The detention center may be his current reality, but the battle for his future is just beginning. As the trial date approaches, questions multiply. Will he emerge changed, or is this the end of an era? Only time will tell, but this story is impossible to look away from. As the saga continues, we're left with a whirlwind of questions. Could authorities' refusal to grant bail truly be tied to an escape plan? What about his family? Unwitting pawns or active participants? The lines between fact and fiction blur as rumors swirl, leaving us wondering just how far Diddy will go to regain freedom. Share your thoughts below. Is Diddy a mastermind trying to outsmart the law or a victim of a flawed system? The conversation is just getting started, and we can't wait to hear your take on this jaw-dropping celebrity mystery. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.